My impression is that price of Brent in the medium term will be flat to down.
Hello Diana, and thank you for speaking with Janostakova TV today. It's an absolute pleasure to have you talk to us. We're going to look a little bit at Brent, US dollar, Russian ruble, and also Swiss franc, Russian ruble. So let's get started, and let's start with Brent. Could you tell us what your predictions are for that in the midterm?
Yeah, hi Jack. Thank you for having me. A very interesting topic indeed. I asked to do some studies, and I realized that Brent has a very interesting tendency to change the direction at the beginning of the year. You know, at least in the last 5 years, it was like that. And also this year, it is this way. What I want to tell, if you have a look at the chart of Brent, since the beginning of the year, the maximum of this year, Brent made this January. And in fact, in January, the trend broke and Brent has been going only down. We can also see the increase in long positions since the beginning of the year. The maximum of the year, of this year, Brent made, we see the increase in long positions with the aim to hedge prices, but very probably this will only add to the vulnerability of the uptrend. And in fact, if you have a look at the long positions, they are increasing from the beginning of the year, but the prices of oil went only down. I know you may be thinking like, what about OPEC and all these important events? Like, you know, events like OPEC are more important and they decide where the price of Brent will move. I agree that OPEC meetings are important. However, these events are usually priced in advance. In fact, do you remember what happened after the last OPEC meetings? The prices went only down. So, my view for medium term is that we can see a bounce or retest of 55 to 60 levels. But anyway, as I mentioned already, the uptrend is not very solid. And my impression is that price of Brent in the medium term will be flat to down. So what do I mean by that? I talk about the levels around $35, $42 per barrel. So that would be the view.
So let's moving from Brent. Let's hop over and look at a really interesting currency pair at the moment, US dollar ruble. What's your view on that pair moving forward?
As discussed already in some previous interviews, dollar ruble reached 56th level, which is a very important level. I believe it's a very important level. And I also said some months ago that from 56th level, we might move flat to up. So if you have a chance to have a look at the chart of dollar Russian ruble, you can see that from the price level of 56, the sequence of lower monthly bars got interrupted, and we went towards 60 level. And if this minimum will stay in place, we could see the start, I believe we could see a start of an uptrend in dollar ruble. I can imagine that you might ask me, like, what about the economy? You know, as far as the economy concerns, economy is in a good shape. So, Russian economy. Let's just name some examples. Like Russia, even with sanctions, like many people are asking, like, how the sanctions are affecting Russian economy. Well, we can tell that even with the sanctions that are in place, Russia is out of recession, is having 4 quarters of consecutive growth. In May, the GDP was around 3%. Inflation is around 4%, which actually is a target of Central Bank of Russia. Key repo rate is at 9%. They cut already 3 times this year, so they may pause for some time now. In addition, I mean, I'm just naming all the positive things, and then I will tell you why the view is different. In addition, this year they implemented new mechanism which is very similar as in Norway, that isolates the economy from the oil price. As you know that the oil price is affecting very much Russian economy. So I mean. It is a new fiscal rule like in Norway. So I mean, of course, the oil price will still affect the Russian economy, but from the point of fiscal rule, it will not matter as much. So okay, I told already all these good things for the Russia. So yes, all what I mentioned is great, but the problem is that all these good things are already known. So, I mean, if they are already known, they are already priced. So what I think is not priced yet are the potential problems in Russia-US relations and Trump with Middle East and things like this. And keep in mind that the possible appreciation of Russian ruble would be the opportunity for the Central Bank of Russia to build reserves. So again, this implies another signal for dollar ruble up move. So potential move up. Okay, so if this is true and if the uptrend will continue, what I believe will continue, the first step should be around 62.64, in the range 62.64 dollar ruble. One important thing I would like to tell, because we were talking about Brent, now ruble, I would like to also mention one interesting thing, that the ruble realigns with Brent from the correlation point of view. Correlations are now about 0.6 from 0.30 in May. So the correlation is now back at the levels where it was for the most of 2016 years, which again supports the view that ruble risks remain to the downside as oil could begin to edge lower again. As I mentioned, that I believe it will edge lower.
So you mentioned the political pressures on that currency and being a bit harder to predict, with a lot of other stuff already being priced in. Let's move across now and look at Swiss franc Russian ruble. Is that then a bit of an easier one to predict moving forward?
Well, I mean, the overall trend for Swiss ruble, we know it's up. That's the overall trend. Actually, with this currency pair, I expect the similar behavior as for dollar ruble. So, I mean, let me explain. Given the strong performance of Russian ruble against Swiss franc since 2016, I think we might have reached an so-called exhaustion point. What I mean is that the levels around, I'm talking about Swiss franc ruble, around 55, 56, seem to me, again, pretty important. I mean, we may see again some retest of these levels. This can happen, but my medium-term view is again flat to up, and I believe that the next levels for these currency pairs are 64, 65, with a move towards 70. So I mean, to be even more precise, for the next weeks, I expect the price to fluctuate within the range 55-67.
Diana, thank you so much for giving your insights to us today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
And thank you for watching. If you like this video and would like to find out more, be sure to head over to dukascopy.tv.